We've been tasked to discern the message of the love bugs, which are obviously pretty significant. So far we've come up with two possible explanations of the message, and the first one is very simple, in that these love bugs have become progressively more of a problem over the past 3 love bug seasons. Each season worse than average and worse than the season that came before.
That's true.
And it's possible that it's tracking with climate change. It's possible. We're not saying that it is. We're not entomologists. We haven't studied love bugs.
No, that's true.
We're just putting it on the table as a possibility with an explanation of this density. Now, the next theory that we come up with is an area in which we actually do have expertise. And that's about the love bugs representing the clouds of the dead, the souls of the dead who know they're dead, and the souls of the dead who don't know they're dead, but are still definitely dead.
That's true.
The undead. And how, as the astral dimensions collapse, all of those dead people are just falling down onto the same dimension as the living are occupying.
That's true.
And that it's creating a lot of confusion and a lot of problem. And that's an area that we've spent coming up on 30 years now, learning about, working in.
That's true.
Teaching in, researching in. Like, this is our area of expertise, this body's 2 main areas of expertise, the other one being we're CPA.
That's true.
Somewhat incongruously.
And the question is, what is the best way that a young person who is interested in communing with divinity can further develop their psychic and spiritual gifts in order to more clearly discern between the words of wiser minds above and guardian angels and those of astral fakers?
Mm-hmm. They keep showing the fireman's hold, and they also show grace, your grace
That's
tank.
True.
And in other words, we ourselves, the denser host lives, don't have it in us to create that connection alone. Ashinder had that question.
That's right.
And the answer was, the most chi-filled human is not able to do it alone. You have to have grace. You have to have grace in your tank.
That's
in other
true.
words, good karma.
That's true.
And so to go out and rack up a bunch of good karma, go do things for the planet, things for others, things for strangers, things that don't benefit you at all. Stand up for the oppressed. And in this case, the planet is definitely being oppressed.
That's true.
And in that way, you become less offensive to work with. And that's what they keep saying to us, is that just humanity in general and each of us as individuals were just offensive to work with.
That's true.
And to not be that way, to try every day to be grateful, and to try every day to be unselfish, and to remember that our actions show who and what we really are. And if we're sitting on our couch thinking about how good we are, but we're not really doing anything to actually make a difference, then don't we want to think about what that might say about us? Might it say that we want to be good, but we aren't being good? Or if we're calling ourselves good, is there some hypocrisy involved? Like, we really want to focus on our actions, showing who and what we really are. And to consider, and that's in the Search for Truth rules, is to consider the impact of our actions on smaller, powerless presences. Like, don't go around killing these bugs.
That's true.
Just keep them away from your mouth and nose and eyes and ears. Wear a helmet, maybe. We're a beekeeper's net. Look at your water bottle.
Yeah.
That's so revolting. Yeah. Yum yum. Very appealing, right?
Yeah.
What else about Aiden's question? Please, how can he tell the difference between the voice to listen to and the other voices, who are often far louder and far easier to hear? Usually the astral fakers are much easier to hear.
That's true.
It's really a challenge.
That's true.
Our Ra would say sometimes only in hindsight is it clear.
That's true.
And he also said that which simultaneously inspires and terrifies shows us our life path. If there's something that we really would like to see accomplished on behalf of the planet, but it just seems impossible, and nobody else is doing it, that might be a good thing to do. It's such a crucial time. It's really go time, because we need to be carbon neutral by 2025, and we're not headed in that direction at all. I know what they're talking about, and they're talking about the importance of having mnemonic devices, things in your life that help you to remember. And they're talking about when they had to shave our heads, and we shaved our heads twice, actually. First in 2009 with a friend who was dying of cancer.
That's true.
Who was losing her hair and freaking out about it, so we shaved our heads with her to show her that it was no big deal and that she didn't need to suffer about that.
That's right.
And then in 2014, they said, listen, the planet is dying, and it really is, and it's dying just like Carmen was dying.
That's right.
And maybe if you shave your head, it'll help you to remember, because you seem to be losing your focus about the planet dying. And it did help. It did help. It was helpful.
That's true.
And so we're not saying shave your head, and we're not telling you to shave your head, or we're not telling you to not shave your head.
No.
We're being completely neutral on the topic of shaved heads. But to create a mnemonic device, something that every time you see it, you think, oh my gosh, we really actually are killing our planet. Biological annihilation is a term that's being used in scientific circles. Biological annihilation. It even has a name, the Anthropocene extinction. This is bad.
That's true.
That's not a good thing. What we're supposed to do is stop killing all life on Earth.
That's true.
And I know it looks like a paradox, because we're being kind of like inundated with insect life. But the point is that something is different enough that this is happening, and that species don't adapt quickly enough.
That's true.
There's a graph that shows how fast temperatures rose with the asteroid strike. It went just kind of like straight up.
That's right.
And then with these other extinction events, this is the 6th great mass extinction. And the other extinction events were a much slower increase in temperature, although the increase in temperature did occur. And then the Anthropocene extinction, what's happening right now, the graph is it's much closer to the asteroid graph than to the other two lines.
That's right.
This has all happened since 1750, you see. And it's too fast for species to adapt. We've watched, they're asking what we've noticed and in our client base, and we've noticed that the people who take action on behalf of the planet seem to have angels coming in and speaking to them while they're sleeping and at other times.
True.
And it's happening.
Real angels.
Real, actual, real deal angels, the real deal. And they're coming in and talking to those people while they're asleep, in all the traditional times of talking to people in bodies.
That's true.
And it's happening because those people are taking action, and they're moving forward on behalf of the planet, and they're not blocking it. There's all these other practices, you know, we've taught for years, practices, but they don't amount to a hill of beans if you don't have enough grace.
That's true.
It's the grace that matters most. What else? Does that answer the question? Can we have the question again?
What is the best way that a young person who is interested in communing with divinity can further develop their psychic and spiritual gifts in order to more clearly discern between the words of wiser minds above and guardian angels and those of astral fakers?
I'm holding up ideas like Vision Quest and all the traditional shamanic initiations and all the traditional indigenous methodologies of which we have some degree of awareness because of our many years of study of comparative religions.
That's true.
And nothing is anywhere remotely what it needs to be to bridge the gap. We've got to do it on grace. That's what they're showing and saying, is you've got to do it on grace alone.
That's
on
true.
Grace alone will it happen. Through divine grace it will happen. And the only way that they're going to be interested in helping is if you're stepping up for the planet.
That's true. That's how to get the grace.
That's how to get the grace. Somebody's asking what we know as channels.
That's true.
And we know that you have to live apart from society.
That's true.
And back in 2009, we got an assignment to go on a 3-year, 3-month, 3-day retreat from society, which is in Buddhism, that's a standard serious retreat length.
That's true.
It goes 1 day, they call it 3 days, but it's a weekend, a week, 10 days, 30 days. There are a couple of others, and then it's the 3-year, 3-month, 3-day retreat. And if you don't do that, then you're not actually a serious student of Buddhism. Anyway, we started it in 2009 in May, and then in October they said, you're not really doing it, so the timer starts again. And so we started it again in October, even though we thought we had been already on retreat. We were incorrect. And we started it again. And about 2 years later, we were starting to notice things about society that we had not noticed up to that point.
That's true.
And it was shocking how long that took. And then when we got to the end of the 3-year, 3-month, 3-day period, or when it was approaching, lots of friends were saying, well, now what are you going to do now that the 3-year, 3-month, 3-day retreat is over? And the instruction from above was to continue on until it's a full 5-year retreat. So that's what we said, and we did not get positive response on that. Lots of people were not happy with our answer.
That's true.
But we continued on, and as we approached the end of the 5 years, the same thing happened, and the instruction from above was, well, really do it right. Do the 10-year retreat, which is another standard retreat length in Buddhism.
That's true.
So we said, okay. And we're coming up on the end of that 10-year period.
Wow, that's true.
Because it was, I think, October 7th that we started, so we're coming up on it. And we're going to go for another 10 years. That's what we're going to do. So we actually strongly recommend retreat from society. No social outings, no gatherings other than to be of service in some way.
That's true.
No media other than that necessary for work.
That's true. It's just like the dead people.
Yeah, it's like the dead people.
These love bugs are.
Yeah, they're just as distracting and disruptive as the dead people. So we recommend that you stay away from the others of your species and density to make it clearer to discern which voices to listen to in the less dense realms. That's what we would recommend. And we understand that's difficult advice to hear when you're 19.
Oh, yeah.
And so decide what you want to do. But Harvard Divinity School didn't do it for Ben, and it was sad, really sad to watch that happen. It was heartbreaking, really. I'm sorry. And we think they're the best. We don't think there's any place better than Harvard Divinity School. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say. So we would say retreat.
That's true.
From society, the only engagement being on behalf of the planet. And if you don't want to retreat from society, then really just fully engage on behalf of the planet and become an activist, become an environmental activist, and get you a megaphone and start leading rallies for climate change, to stop climate change. We're going to one tomorrow.
That's right. You know what I just realized?
What?
We have often said we wish we had a camera that could show all of the things we can see in other dimensions.
Interesting.
And with these love bugs, it's almost as if you can see the clouds of the dead on the camera.
Oh, that's delightful.
Which we have said many times, boy, I wish I had a camera that could show the clouds of the dead.
Oh, here you go. Here are your clouds of the dead.
Is.
Oh, I smooshed some. Now they're deader than dead.
That's right.
Doubly dead.
That's right.
Icky. Oh, look. Corpses on my elbow.
Yep.
Yep. Lovely. Did we answer the question? Let's try it one more time. Does that answer the question?
Does that answer the question? The question being, and we noticed from his email address that he is probably a current college student. What is the best way that a young person who is interested in communing with divinity can further develop their psychic and spiritual gifts in order to more clearly discern between the words of wiser minds above and guardian angels and those of astral fakers?
Well, somebody's asking how did we do it, and how we did it is the person who was most dear to us died, and we were unwilling to acknowledge that the relationship was over. And so we followed him up through the astrals. It took 18 months, and he had also agreed to do that, and he was also holding up his end of the bargain. So that was helpful. It was extremely painful, and it took a while to see that it was actually a beautiful gift.
That's true.
So that's helpful. We don't know that we would recommend it.
No, I don't.
And then we got better when we got so seriously ill. And we were sick, disabled for 2 years, sick for 7 years, and we don't know that we would recommend that method either.
That's true.
But we do recommend the retreat from society.
That's true.
And it was a painful illness. So we had chronic pain for 7 years. We don't recommend chronic pain for 7 years, although it can be very clarifying. We recommend retreat from society. And they're saying you've got to accumulate grace, and that it's not going to happen without grace. Does this answer the question? There's that pulling up feeling that means that's it, we're done. Yes, it does. They believe it to have answered the question, and we're calling it on behalf of bugs.
That's true.
It's just too much.
The clouds of the dead are so thick.
Yeah. We're done.
That's it.